Archangel Eli can seem like a more complicated fight than it is when you first get in there and face him. This is because he has many different movesets with all different directional block timing, so it's very hard to remember what they all are the first couple times you're in there, so you're likely to mess them up several times, and even then, after you know what they are, it's not always easy to pull them off. My strategy for most boss fights is to use directional block to get an opening and hammer away at the boss. In this fight, I don't recommend it as much, even though if you can do substantial damage. What I like to do is try and get one directional block successfully in order to get the buffs from the directional block enhancers, things that give you buffs when you directional block successfully, damage, energy, etc. So you get these buffs from that successful directional block, dodge out of the way, let him finish his combo, hammer him a couple times, and then refresh that directional block buff periodically. The reason I do this is because if you sit there and try and directionally block for too long during this fight, you'll notice that his wide horizontal sweeping attacks take a very long time to do, and this is time where you could be hitting or dodging away and then sliding in and hitting him afterward in between. There are also a couple attacks you need to be out on the lookout for. Sometimes he'll raise up and slam into the ground and he'll do an AoE around him where you need to get away, and you can follow this up by running in and attacking him afterward. Sometimes when he does an attack that's from below where the directional analyzer is pointing down for a block, he'll shoot like a trail of stuff at you, so no matter where you are, it's best to not try and block this, and just try and dodge to the side to avoid it. Additionally, he has a grab attack that he can do where he thrusts you with his weapon, which does progressively more and more damage. The best way to avoid this is not to dodge, but instead just block, and then you'll be alright. And other times he'll unleash in a frenzy of lots of vertical attacks, so make sure when he does this is a great opportunity to get those directional blocks in, because they're all from above to begin with. They're like 3 or 4 in a row. You can usually get one off because they're usually like in rapid succession, so even if you're just guessing at the timing, you can usually get 1 or 2 in, and sometimes you'll stagger him and get that attack, or at least you'll refresh your buff. I strongly recommend using armor with nano resistance. The Liquidator armor is very good for this, or any armor that has nano resistance is very good. I also really like to use the implant that increases your defense when you successfully directional block. This one implant allows you to face tank many of the bosses in the game, so make sure you have this one slotted. It gives you a lot of defense. And lastly, I like to use quick weapons for this fight because it gives me a lot of energy gain, which just allows me to keep healing. You can see I'm not like dodging all over the place, successfully dodging everything. I'm just taking the damage and I keep on trucking by hitting over and over and gaining that energy and directional blocking for energy. Lastly, if you're still having trouble with this boss, make sure you upgrade your armor as high as you can. You probably want at least Mark 7 or Mark 8, and make sure your weapon is maxed out at Mark 10. You can farm the enemies on the way to this boss for Mark 10 gear, so spend some time farming them if you need to, and make sure you have enough implant room with your core power to get the implants that you need. This is usually around level 80, 70 or 80 in that range.